The Space Ace, the Star Child, the Catman, and the Demon. These were the comic-inspired personas taken up by the rock band Kiss, considered one of the greatest and most influential rock bands of all time. Years into their success, they first appeared in comics in an issue of Howard the Duck, and went on to have their own Marvel Super Special, with the band members donating blood to be mixed in with red ink in its production. Yowza. In it, they were regular musicians who were given 4 talismans which transformed them into their on-stage identities, granting them various powers. While other comics would follow over the decades from various publishers, one unlicensed but with support by Gene Simmons, it's an IDW iteration which we're looking at today. Hello, I'm the Angry Spork, and I'm taking issue with Mars Attacks Kiss, where those scrawny invaders are back to harass the Earth, but now with different defenders to confront. Let's see if this comic makes us want to rock and roll all night, or change to a country station? The cover, much like the real Ghostbusters issue, parodies the original Mars Attacks trading cards, this one featuring one Martian attacking someone with an eye laser, and another with flame breath. I guess he's taking the subtitle Flaming Youth a bit literally. His victim was 78, but he was young at heart, so it still counts! Written by Chris Rial, incidentally also the editor, with art by Alan Robinson and Jay Photos, we begin in space, as some unique narration bubbles explain that a cosmic entity called the Elder has been in an endless struggle with another, more malevolent force known as the Destroyer. It's been 4 billion years. Just pick some place to order from and eat your food already! The Elder's emissary, a partially clothed but strategically censored woman called She, I guess, says that the Destroyer's forces are targeting Earth again. The box of Kiss, spelled differently because magic, must be given to humans to protect the planet. The Elder says, hey, Earth's got lots of problems, but he needs her to do one thing first, and is too late telling her to look out as a flying saucer hits her with a flyby zapping while it beelines for Earth.
Move it, lady!
Hey, it's not her fault you overslept and McDonald's is about to stop serving breakfast. The bottom of the page features another card that could have been an alternate cover if they wanted. One Martian attacking 2 members of the band, one seeming to disintegrate. Kind of an extreme way to say you prefer Simon and Garfunkel, if you ask me. We go to the big city, where the quartet of hostiles are fighting over who gets to kill this one guy. Dizzy the Hun, aged hippie, who looks like a human Usagi Yojimbo who really let himself go. 4 young men are walking along, discussing music and needing a unique look, when they see the scuffle and try to help the old man. Dizzy sees the flaming youth, as he calls them, and throws towards them the box of Kiss he's been trying to keep from the invaders. That in it lies their destiny, but he gets cut off when one of the assailants disintegrates him. Another shoots the box, causing it to land prematurely before the enemy, thus spilling its contents. Talismans of a cat, a star, a lightning bolt, and a dragon. 2 of those connect pretty obviously to the stage personas, the Star Child and the Catman. Dragon, as the Demon, feels like a bit of a stretch, and I'm not sure how you get lightning from Space Ace. Space lightning? Yeah, I'm probably overthinking it. The aliens take the items, and thus are transformed into, well, Martian Kiss variants, and narration says that the Elder's power makes them even more dangerous than they were before, giving the Earth even less of a chance of surviving.
Oh my, it looks like we're doomed.
And I guess those totems magically informs them enough on Kiss music to quote one of their songs out of nowhere. They fire on the would-be rescuers, who barely save themselves hiding behind a car. One hurls a brick, shattering one alien's helmet, but surprisingly, he can still breathe. And since he's the one that grabbed the demon totem, can also breathe fire, declaring it's time to rock and roll and destroy all humans. We might be saved if they go in that order. We just need to find enough groupies to distract them from going through with their invasion. Though finding out how little revenue they get from streaming services might make them speed up their plans anyway. Cat Martian transforms a woman's dog into a hulking beast, who carries its owner away because I guess this page was guest directed by Ang Lee.
Yeah, from a mutant French poodle.
Mars Ace creates a portal to get a better shot at vaporizing some rando's head, and Mars Child uses his one-eye laser to take out some Air Force jets overhead. In the words of old school and Western sanitized Tien Shinhan, I can see their parachutes. They're okay. The creature finds humor in burning humans, enjoying this transformation even if he doesn't understand how it happened. Which feels kinda weird because it seemed like they were specifically targeting Dizzy. Maybe he just happened to be their first choice of victim, and they were coincidentally curious about the box of Kiss and the artifacts within. Or maybe they knew all along, and he just doesn't understand how these trinkets make them so powerful. The Dimension... Okay, that one was really stretching it.
They can't all be jams.
One would be nice.
Anyway, he decides to signal the invasion fleet by doing the rock and roll hand signs and firing energy into the air. Given how far away Mars is, seems like a text would have been more effective, but moving on. The youths are huddled behind some wreckage, unsure how to counter such unstoppable creatures other than to bide their time. Meanwhile, back in space, she is apparently recovered from whatever happened to her. It looked like she was either vaporized or absorbed into the saucer, but here she is, unharmed, but ticked off at their attack. I don't know if she's talking to herself here or the Elder and he's just not responding, but either way, she points out how the Martians have usurped the power of the four who are one, and something must be done, as she causes an explosion? I don't know why or what it was. Maybe just some emptiness? Whatever. She figures if the human avatars are powerless, she must contact the champions themselves, stir them from dormancy within the aliens' psyches. She does so, and the four are instantly aware of their situation, tabling their battle with the destroyer, and speaking descriptively like this was a Silver Age comic.
Even here on the Martian astral plane that they control, they cannot hide from us. Not when their stench reveals them to be there. For your information, our astral forms smell because we have dirty minds. I don't know how that was supposed to be an effective counter-argument, but here we are.
The Star Child even notes how easy it'll be to defeat enemies that aren't equipped to fight them in such a realm. This hardly seems worth waking us. Yeah, they really should have asked someone else to enter a hitherto unknown psionic plane of existence, specifically of the Martian variety, and fight them, like your intended hosts, or a really irate troop of Girl Scouts. As they attack, with physical assault or powers involving antimatter, damage is inflicted in the physical world. It's a simple matter, and they hope the chosen humans do their part. Which they do, the youths taking the opportunity to strike, figuring they're winning because they rock, and the last of the creatures is soon taken down.
Nice boots. I want 'em.
You think if you removed them right now, his feet will shrivel and curl back like the Wicked Witch of the West? Unfortunately, there's still an entire fleet of ships headed toward Earth, and she mentions that the four who are one won't be able to stop them, and the planet will be destroyed in the ensuing conflict. The Elder admits ending this massive threat would take the power of a godlike entity, like himself, as he destroys the entire armada by a mighty clap of his hands, so intense that it in fact makes a sound in the vacuum of space. Clap your hands, clap your hands, clap your hands. Ironically, the Elder is actually Beck. Go figure. The U.S. Army arrives in force to fight the Martians when they're stopped by the lead guitarist and drummer, telling them to hold off. After their friends tackle them to the ground to avoid getting shot, since they know what's best after all, a general approaches to help them up. The dialogue is a bit awkward because it's not until the last panel on this page that we see one of the four Martians is still alive. And it's mind-boggling that these upstarts are stopping the soldiers from mowing him down with American lead. One of the youths reasons that, yeah, the dead ones were bad and they got what was coming to them, but the one left kinda looks sweet. Maybe because he's all alone now, or because he's been inhaling oxygen. Oh, yeah, it's a well-known scientific fact that breathing in a little oxygen, despite needing a suit to survive up till now, totally makes evil space people good.
He helped murder people without hesitation. What is wrong with you?
Don't get me wrong, I don't mind extending mercy to the enemy and all that, but the reason behind it is flimsy and out of nowhere. The Martian mutters something, but there's no translation caption like with most of the previous alien dialogue, so for all we know, he's saying he'll never surrender or is promising to kill them all somehow. Yet the advocate of the group goes so far as to stand in the way of a soldier who draws his weapon. The general is concerned about a panic if word got out that one of the aliens was still around, and the young man says, hey, this survivor's pretty panicked too, and he's got a plan to hide him in plain sight, S-I-T-E. You're gonna hide him using a web page? Maybe this horrible little guy just needs a chance, despite trying to kill them and making way for a devastating invasion.
You are a fistful of stupidity.
They could use him as a guitar tech, since his fingers look so dexterous, and he and his fellow musicians will wear crazy makeup to match his alien weirdness, so no one will suspect a thing. My idea is that the four of us will wear black jumpsuits and white face paint, which won't look anything like stumpy brain-headed ghoul in a bargain bin hazmat suit. He won't stick out at all. General McGee finds this all rather unorthodox, but offers to manage them to keep their identities secret, and so long as the Martian promises to stop any further aggression, he can join their gang. Hope you don't mind making this deal with an insurmountable language barrier. You can't understand him, and you don't know if he understands you. Even on Earth, gestures we find cordial or welcoming can be considered rude in other cultures. He might think you plan on cooking him for dinner.
Meat group.
With their parallel Kiss identities hovering above them, the comic ends on the four avatars walking away from the sunset with a new, confused-looking technician as they clarify they aren't a gang, they're a band. The beginning of what we don't want to imagine. Possibly a serious lawsuit when their new friend decides to tune their guitars to vaporize the rafters of their next venue. That was Mars Attacks Kiss, and I thought it was fun, though the ending is a real head-scratcher. I'm gonna be honest with you, I've never been a really huge fan of this band. It's not that I actively dislike them or think they're overblown. I've heard some of their music, but I can't tell you their discography if I tried. I think their stuff is fine, but not something I feel compelled to seek out. But hey, I talk about comics, not music. I'm no Todd in the Shadows. That gives me an idea, though. I wonder if 8 Seasons is too late to change my name. Spork in the Shadows may be derivative, but it's got a nice ring to it. You know, if I'm gonna walk around, I should probably take off my shades, but they're drawn onto my face, so whoa! I'm okay! Despite my ignorance of their wider work, I could tell some dialogue referenced their songs, mostly when it felt a bit awkward in a way that it had to be a reference. I've only skimmed their Marvel Comics Super Special, but I saw enough that this seems very inspired by it, like how Dizzy the Hun granted power to 4 musicians. The stuff about the Elder and the Destroyer might be derived from previous works, like the IDW Kiss comics by this book's writer, Chris Real. Like this is really meant to be an amalgamation of previous publishers' iterations in a one-and-done parody retelling of their origin. Oh, if only more reinventions of characters were confined to a single 24-page comic and then never heard from again. In that this isn't meant to be taken so seriously, there are some things that could be overlooked, like how effortlessly the spirits of Kiss defeated the Martians. Like the fact that they were on an astral plane specifically for their planet meant absolutely nothing. Didn't do much to establish any real tension or stakes in the story, but it looks like even on the ethereal realms of existence, segregation doesn't do any good. And the intended hosts basically kicked them while they were down, or already dead in one case. Even the Elder going Deus Ex Machina to thwart the invasion before it could start, when he was too late to warn She of that flying saucer, that was to humorously tie up loose ends. While tenuous, it's a pass I'm willing to give in this one instance. But it still kind of irks me that they bring one of the murderous brain skulls to work for them based on the sheer concept that he might make a good guitar technician. Maybe if they'd established the band member advocating for him was a sucker for strays or the biggest softy on the planet, mentioned some story about him caring for an injured animal that bit and scratched him the whole time to the point that he needed rabies shots, that would have been a better setup for this than, doesn't the hideous bug-eyed murderer from space look all sweet when he's scared for his life? Even stories that are steeped in parody or satire can take a hit if they conclude on something as convoluted as this. It's not the worst ending, just a really confusing one. The art was good, I can't really say much bad about it. Cool effects, nicely detailed, good use of powers, though I noticed a shot of She on one page is flipped and reused on another. Maybe they were short on time or something. The one thing confuses me, are these guys supposed to be like the Kiss members in their 20s or something? They never mention each other's names, perhaps longtime fans would be able to just guess, but they don't really look like they're modeled off real people. In fact, 2 of them look a lot more like characters from the original Akira film. And I just gave IDW another idea for a crossover story, didn't I? Kiss meets Akira, coming 2026. Overall, this comic might appeal more to hardcore Kiss fans, and it's silly enough that it can get away with some of its contrivances. It might not vibe as well with people that just aren't as into the band, but it isn't without some fun charm. Its out of left field ending notwithstanding. I'm the Angry Spork, and man, have I got issues.